All right, it's time to make this cable do something. By the time we're done here, we will set up a Windows computer to configure network devices through the console port, or in simple terms, make it do something. Now, you probably know that unless you have an extraordinarily old computer, like more than a decade old or so, you won't have one of these ports on your computer. This is a DB9 serial interface, and in order to connect that to our computer, to connect it to the Cisco device, we'll have to get one of these. It's a DB9 serial interface to USB adapter. And the driver software that most of the time in Windows is built in will turn this thing into something known as a COM port. That's the way it uses and identifies serial interfaces that it uses for communication. Now, you could also save an adapter by just going with one of these. This is a USB-C to RJ45 rollover cable. That's the type. Console connection. If you go with one of these, all you save is your junction. Again, Windows sees this thing as a COM port using the correct driver software, so pick your poison, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this and get it connected, but getting it connected is just the first step. Once we have that going, we have to download the terminal program, determine our COM port, and set the correct speed to communicate with the device. Now, don't worry, I'm going to be walking through all of that process. This is just the summary of it, and I'll bring this up at the very end. So, without further ado, let's head over here. So let me show you what I got from a distance. First of all, this is our Arizona, Nevada, and Florida, not seen in that picture right here, stacks of devices. I'm going to just for this demonstration to get us going in Windows, I'm going to get a console connection going to this 1921 router. All right, so let's plop down here and get to going. First and foremost, brought my USB to serial and my console cable. I have a little USB hub sitting right over here. So I'm just going to connect this guy right in and we'll watch what happens. Waiting for something to happen. Anytime now. And nothing. That's simply because Windows has built-in drivers for these USB to serial adapters as long as they use the really common prolific driver set. So when you're looking to buy one of these, make sure it has the prolific drivers. Otherwise, you got to download drivers and sometimes they just flat out don't work. But again, I'm staring at an empty desktop. What do I do? Well, that's where I'll shoot on over to Device Manager because that will tell me what COM port number this has been assigned. I'll scrunch down the network adapters, and right below that is ports, COM and LPT. I expand that out. It says, oh, I've got one right here for you. USB to serial CH340. I'm guessing that's a model number or something of that adapter. This is the big one that we need, COM4. So believe it or not, from a Windows perspective, we're done. Now we just have to download the right terminal program. And if you haven't used PuTTY before, now is your chance to get it. Just go to Google, type in PuTTY. Very first link should be straight to it. It's this guy out in the United Kingdom, latest version, download it here. And you've got your options. You can either use the Windows installer or you can just download the executable right here. I usually use the executable because it's that easy. I just click on it, save file, and bada bing, that's now saved to my hard drive. I open my downloads folder and it's right there. There's no install necessary unless you download the installer. Just double click it and you have PuTTY running right there for you. Now normally this will be blanked out. I've had PuTTY for a long time on my computer, so it has a whole bunch of saved settings, and then my last setting that I was using it for, I don't even remember what that was. But regardless, you start off on this session tab, which is where you configure your connection. Now it's trying to Telnet right now because that's the default. I'm going to head over here to the serial. This is where I say what serial line I want. In this case, I've got COM1. I'm going to change that to COM4 because that's what Device Manager showed me. The speed by default is 9600 baud. Now, it's not really common at all, but sometimes some people will change their console port to one of these other speeds. They do that because the output comes a little bit faster and it's easier to see that output stream across. What they don't know, well, I'm sure they do, but it doesn't matter to them because they know it, is somebody who gets that device, like if you buy it used off of eBay and it's got the wrong console port set, just won't work. The console port will appear dead or it'll just send some gibberish looking characters from there. If you see the gibberish, don't despair. Don't try and ship the device back. Chances are good you just need to change the console speed to one of these other 4 common values. Well, 9600 is the default. 38,400, 57,600, and 115,200 are the most common speeds. In my experience, if it's not 9600, it's probably this guy. But back over to our configuration, I'm going to stick with the 9600 baud right here. Serial COM4, click on open, and I get a big old window with absolutely nothing there. The reason for that is because I actually have nothing connected. So let's get this going. I'm going to take this, connect it to the console cable, run, come on, there we go. Run that over here to the 9621 router and plug straight into the console port. Now I'm going to turn it on. Poof. Power is clicked, flip back over to PuTTY, which is just sitting there. Now, initially, when I see this, I'm like, uh-oh, that's a problem. Is that a bad speed right there or something like that? That little strange character that you saw spit out. Don't panic, because if it is a console port mismatch, you would see the screen just kind of ticking across with a lot of crazy symbols. So I'm going to give it a moment. Oh, look at that. Boom. We've got the operating system booting up. We've got our console port configured. This is the Cisco device actually booting itself. And you can see right here, it's loading off of the flash. This is the flashlight blinking on there. Console port is showing me the actual boot process coming through PuTTY right now. And now all I have to do is wait. Wait until this image decompresses, and it will actually take me all the way down to the initial prompt, which should be, if the configuration is cleared off of this router, the question, do you want to enter initial configuration dialog? More on that in just a moment. I'm going to actually have a full video dedicated to just that one question on a Cisco device. But for now, we've set up our Windows computer to configure devices through console connections. And I want to make sure you guys catch, that's for any device. I can now take that one console connection with PuTTY, move that console cable around to any one of these Cisco devices sitting here on the table, hit the enter key on the screen, and I'm sitting at the prompt within the PuTTY terminal. Oh, I'm so excited to go further into this with you. But for now, we've seen enough. I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.